This video is an overview of key features and improvements in Origin and OriginPro 2022. There are several key features that have been introduced, such as Object Manager to access graphic objects in a graph, add notes to worksheet cells, named range and autocomplete for calculations, inserting an image to a graph as a linked file, assigning an XY scale to an image for use as a layer background, download templates from OriginLab website, simplified graph export and copy graph as image, connect to OneDrive and Google Drive for importing data directly into Origin. Several new graph types have been introduced, such as PyMapPlot, Sunburst Plot, Ridgeline Plot, and Cluster Plot. There are a section of new free apps available as well. Let's take a look at some of the key features in depth. So, the Object Manager can be used to view plots or objects in a graph. Then you can select objects such as legends or titles, and you can change their font, size, color, and etc. You can select objects such as arrows to change their thickness and color to make quick annotation changes to your graph without having to open dialogues. The mini toolbar pop-up provides all the key buttons frequently needed for modifications. You can add notes to individual worksheet cells now. So in this example, we have a worksheet with some analysis done on sensor data, and one of the sensors have failed. Well, if you wanted to, you could easily click and add notes for later reference. If you have an Excel worksheet with notes, when you import the Excel sheet into Origin, the notes will also be imported. Another key feature is being able to define names for a certain cell or a range of cells. After you have defined the names, you can then use them in cell formulas and column formulas. Shown here is the autocomplete feature, where you can pick up function names and define names. And once you have changed the value of the named cell, the output is updated as well. The Object Manager displays the defined names in each sheet. Double-clicking the names will open the Name Manager, where you can manage the name and even change their scope, such as sheet level, book level, or project level. Another key feature is being able to insert images. Here, let's look at inserting an image from a disk file for annotation on the graph. Once you have it inserted, you can double-click to open it in the image window to make changes. So in this example, we're adding an ROI so we can restrict the image to a decided area. Once the ROI is adjusted, you can simply right-click and apply this clipping to the graph in which the image is inserted, and then close the image window. And if you reopen later, the previous ROI is actually remembered. You can set the image to be a linked file to reduce the file size for when saving projects. This feature is especially useful if you have an image with a known coordinate system, such as in this case a map. You can set the coordinates, and once you've done that, you can go to any graph with such associated data, which has a subrange for that map, and simply insert the image as a background, and Origin will fetch for you the section of the image that's relevant to that scale. You can insert this image into multiple graphs as well. In this feature, you can specify vertical and horizontal grid spacing and offset in inches and centimeters for graph and layout pages. For example, you can set the grid spacing to 0.5 inches and offset to 0.25 inches, which is where the grid starts. Check the Snap to Grid checkbox, and when you move objects now, they will snap to grid. The graph window can have different grid settings from layout. And you select multiple layers to snap them to grid together. The same applies for snapping text objects and legends. Origin ships with many graph and book templates. Now we have added the capability to download extended graph and book templates from the OriginLab website. You can simply open Template Center dialog from the Tools menu and search for templates by keyword or category. Once you have browsed a template, you can simply click the download button to download them. The download graph templates will be displayed in the Template Library dialog, and the download workbook template will be accessible from the File, New, Workbook, or File, New, Matrix menu. This Template Center dialog works very similar to how the App Center dialog has been working in the past. There is now a simplified graph export dialog with just the pertinent controls that are typically required for graph export. The formats supported are PNG, BMP, JPEG, TIFF, and EMF. Users can save their settings as a theme, such as American Chemical Society single column, and then quickly reuse pre-saved settings. There is also another simplified copy graph as image dialog, where again, you can choose different formats such as PNG, BMP, JPEG, TIFF, or EMF. And you can set the ratio so that you can define the size. Shown in this image is an example where I'm setting the ratio to be 20% so the graph can be copied to the clipboard as a small image. Then, I can go to another application, such as my email program, and paste it as a small image to communicate with my colleagues. These settings, along with my ratio, can be saved as a theme for repeated use. Another key feature is being able to connect to files from OneDrive and Google Drive. Currently, you can connect to text and CSV files or Excel files, and also connect to Origin project files for importing specific sheets from an outside project. This connection works as a data connector, so the connection between the worksheet and the files are maintained. So if the file on OneDrive or Google Drive changes, you can always come back to Origin and re-import the updated data. There's no need to set up a sync folder. You can connect to a PC with authentication for your login to OneDrive or Google Drive. We have also added an Open from Cloud button, which will simply open a file, whether it's text, CSV, or Excel file, without connecting to the file. There are several new graph types implemented in this version. One of them is the pie map plot, where you can place pie charts at any given XY location, which is typically done on a map. So on the left side, you will see some ion measurements done over a certain longitude-latitude area, each pie representing a fraction of calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium found in that particular site. On the right-hand side is a similar concept, where an outline of the continental United States has been added, and some parameter PW1, PW2, PW3 has been plotted for each state. Note here that the pie size can be mapped to another column. It's been mapped to the population of the state. Another nice infographic graph type introduced in this version is the sunburst plot. Here are a couple examples shown. Another graph feature typically used in spectroscopy is the ridgeline plot. On the left side, we have taken a simple example of temperature measurements for various months, and in the continental US, mean temperature. We plotted that by color mapping along the x-axis based on temperature. The right side shows currency exchange rates. We have also added a cluster plot, where the centroid of the cluster can be plotted along with the line from the centroid to the individual points. This is particularly useful for representing results from principal component analysis. Several graph improvements have been made as well. The left side and the right side are examples where the fill area can be extended to the arbitrary axes, top, bottom, left, right, or to a particular curve, which allows you to create a phase diagram such as the one on the left. And on the right, individual peaks have been color filled to baseline for the spectrum. Several new apps have been introduced. You can check them out and they are free. You can download the demo and use them as well though. One app in particular is the N42 data connector, which can bring in data from N42 files, which contains radiation measurement data, typically used in homeland security systems. There is Welch and Nova, ternary contour profile, surface roughness parameters, structural equation modeling, customized polynomial fit, advanced time series analysis, drug dissociation analysis, overlap of empirical distribution, and project manager. There are several other small features and improvements, such as improved simplifying find tool, graph annotator, a tool to arrange layers, fill area to arbitrary axes and plots like we saw earlier, stack worksheets by common label, and there are several other small features and improvements as well, which you can find by visiting originlab.com/2022. We feel this is an exciting version, and we hope you get the chance to explore the features. We'd love to get your feedback and comments as well. Thank you for watching.